So there was actually a really cool study. I'll see if I can find it for you to put in the show notes for your listeners. I think they might be
Sure.
interested. The Imperial College of London did a study of escitalopram, which is a very common SSRI antidepressant medication, compared to psilocybin. And they also recently just released the follow up. So they put people through escitalopram, I think it was for 10 weeks, and then another group had 2 doses of psilocybin over a 10-week period. What they found was at the end of the first trial was the difference in depressive symptoms between both groups basically dropped at the same rate. But what happened at follow up was they found that the people in the psilocybin group had a better remission rate, so they stayed in remission from their depression. It didn't remit or relapse.
Right.
They also had broader perspective of themselves. They were more open to experiences. They felt more positive about their relationships and the world at large. So in terms of
Wow.
outcomes long term between a standard antidepressant and the psilocybin over that very short period of time was quite significant from a personal perspective and a personal growth perspective.
Wow. Yeah, this does sound like the first inning of these drugs being integrated more into society. I mean, yeah. So let's go back
Possibly.
to how do you know who needs what, or how do you make an educated guess for
Mm.
what, or does someone come in and they start with ketamine and then they build up to something else? Like, yeah, I'd love to know how you understand who might need what.
Well, the regulation in Australia is that MDMA is for PTSD and that
Okay.
psilocybin is for treatment resistant depression. In my
Okay.
clinical experience, I have often seen these things overlap. Is it
Sure.
a really chicken before the egg kind of race? Not sure. There is currently no movement in the protocols that I'm aware of. So if we start somebody on a psilocybin protocol and they do 1 dose, my knowledge in understanding is we then can't swap them to an MDMA for their second dosing if they may do better or may respond differently to that treatment, if that makes sense. So once
Right.
a patient starts a protocol, whether it's the psilocybin or MDMA, they that's their protocol that they've been approved to go through.
Hmm.
In
Okay.
terms of the question about ketamine, that's really at the psychiatrist's discretion. First, if that psychiatrist is comfortable to work with ketamine and or prescribe it. Second is it depends on the patient. So some patients may have a lot of anxiety, quite rigid thought patterns, which can really prevent someone from letting go in those situations of being under the medicine. So with MDMA and psilocybin,